The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Monday in the Riv and the beginning of another exciting week. We got a ton of stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
today.
well, the first thing I want to talk about is the phone call I received this morning on my way into the studio by an irate parent of a child that goes to Durfee. This parent has a daughter who was attacked at Durfee on Wednesday. And because Thursday was a holiday, it couldn't be addressed. On Friday, Vice Principal Lima called the mom and said, "We have an emergency evacuation order for your daughter. You need to come pick her up." So the kid has to leave school while the person who attacked her is allowed to stay in school. It gets better. The mom said, "I want to press charges against the person who attacked my daughter." The response from Vice Principal Lima was, if she fought back, good luck on filing charges. Can't defend yourself?
Of course you can. Apparently, Vice Principal Lima hasn't been watching a Rittenhouse trial.
Obviously not.
Because you do have a right to defend yourself.
That's right.
Even in this state, where you have to jump out a window if they're invading your house. This is not a stand your ground state. You can't, you don't have the luxury of protecting your own property. However, you do have the right to defend yourself when you have no other recourse. So that's absolutely ridiculous. And I think she should file charges. I think this should be on the front page of the Herald News. Frankly, you're right. This should be the beginning of the show because we've had far too many issues already with that school. Vandalism, talk of gang violence inside the school, locking students on because they can't control the student population. And now again, the school department, we're pulling a Loudoun County where the girl got raped and they pretended it didn't happen. So now they're trying to actually discourage a parent from going to the police when her daughter is assaulted, and if she fought back, that's just disgusting that this is happening, and it's got to come to light. I'm sick and tired of the lack of transparency of this administration again, and we got another 2 years of it. And he came from that environment where everything is always under the cloak of silence, whether it's Malone abusing people or students abusing people. The public doesn't know. The parents don't know. The students have to report this. They have to take pictures of the vandalism. They have to take pictures and give us these stories. I agree. Obviously we know this is an allegation, but if it's true, this has to see the light of day, and this community has to address that problem for the safety of their children.
Right, and the recommendation that was made was that they should call the mayor, they should call the superintendent, and they should call Kevin Aguirre and Paul Hart. Because the Gang of Four, I don't think will do anything either. So I recommended Kevin Aguirre and Paul Hart. And hopefully something comes to light about this. This is ridiculous. The school department isn't talking about the 40 students that were allegedly transferred to the Resiliency Prep School. They're not talking about the student that's allegedly got criminal charges pending against them. We don't talk about that. The school has a blanket order of silence. The cone of silence has fallen over Durfee High School.
Yeah, it's totally in the dark. And look, there's one other step too. She should walk down to the police. She should get down to the police station and file a complaint against that student. Period.
That's it.
This is not what is this, a free fire zone? Now the school is a place now where you can go in and run amok and violate the laws and abuse people. This society's getting totally out of control. We see they condone riots for the right people, but other people are thrown in solitary confinement.
Yep.
And this is not right. Safety, domestic tranquility is supposed to be part of our constitutional guarantees. We are supposed to live in an ordered society. We've seen defund the police movements throughout the country being defeated. And while we're in that, I'll segue into something I was going to mention later. There have been 800 murders, and it's not the end of the year in Chicago. That's more people than we lost in Afghanistan over the last 2 years.
Right.
So this is what the country has been relegated to, and the people in this country are beginning to rise up. So I think it's time for parents in Fall River to pull a Loudoun County.
Yeah.
To start going to the school committee meetings and demanding safety for their children.
I agree 100%. Maybe it's time we change the name of Durfee to Fallujah High.
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
Here we teach IEDs and
Yeah. But I mean,
jihads.
it's just not right, because they can say, well, you're making this up. We're not making it up. We're getting reports of this.
Right.
We're saying that these are allegations, but can we prove these allegations? Not if you keep covering them up. Disprove them.
Right.
Come out, just like with Malone. They proved what Malone did.
Exactly.
But how long did they bury? Over what period of time?
And they were still burying it.
And
even
we
after it was
produced
known.
letters from
Right.
some of the victims and read them on the air.
That's right.
And they're still covering it up.
That's right. That's right.
They still will not release anything. And that is unacceptable and inexcusable.
Yeah, well, this is Fall River.
Yeah.
And $263 million building. It's got vandalism going rampant throughout the building. It's got water pipes leaking into the building. As our producer said earlier today, our station manager, he said, well, a new Durfee with the same old problem from the old Durfee.
Yeah. I'm going to make a bold prediction like Karnak the Magnificent. Yeah, here's the envelope. I don't have an envelope. I can put that clipboard up there, but I'd hurt myself. But that school will not last 40 years.
No.
Like the old one did.
No.
This is a disaster already. Then again, maybe we'll just have a settlement like we did for Purchase Street. We'll get into that later. That'll be a nice segue, because that's what this city does. They just do everything wrong, and the taxpayer gets hammered. And
Foots the bill.
We're going to get hammered again.
Yep, foots the bill.
Foots the bill. But no, this is, another assault at Durfee. What is it going to take for transparency? What is it going to take to deal? Is it going to take a murder? Are we going to have a fatality in Durfee
Well, I have an
before
idea.
they start addressing these issues?
I have a big idea. Get these parents together and file a class action lawsuit against the school department for their children in Durfee, the ones that have been assaulted.
I can guarantee you, if my kids were at Durfee, they would have to. I would be one of the ones on Fox getting dragged out in handcuffs.
Yep.
Because I would not leave a school committee meeting until somebody did something.
Domestic terrorism.
That's right. And they could brand me a domestic terrorist. But but this is absurd. I mean, these are children. They are entrusted to the school department to be educated and also to be protected.
Right.
But then they're horrified when we have school shootings, and it is a horrifying thing. However, regular violence should be horrifying to these people who are running the school department. This should not be, let's cover everything up. I mean, we can go back, I don't know how many years. Remember the one that just wandered out of the school?
Yep.
And nobody knew?
Right.
So, I mean, this is just crazy. We can't have this. Not with the children. And of course, let's get back to an issue that is, that's the problem. But some of the other issues, that the ramifications of this. What kind of learning environment can they have? Can they really have a positive and productive learning environment
When you're fearing for your life?
When it's like a war zone
Yeah,
in
when
the
you're
school?
fearing for your life? I don't know.
I don't
think
know.
so. I don't think so.
Not good.
And, it's terrible that the parents can't turn to a vice principal and say, I want charges filed. And the vice principal says, good luck with that. She asked who the person was, or do you know who the person is? We'll have to review the videotape. Because they've got cameras everywhere. So they're going to have to review the videotape. They didn't even bother to review the tape. They didn't even bother to identify the person that did this. All they know is that they had to evacuate this student for fear of their life.
So you remove the victim.
They removed the victim and left the perpetrator.
Well, let me see. Let me see. How does that normally work out? Didn't they transfer that student who raped the person to another school in a woman's bathroom? And what did he do at the new school? He raped another person.
That's right.
So that makes a lot of sense. I don't know what's going on in that school department, but you're 100% right, CJ. She should go to some school committeemen, not the gang of four, because they're 3 of them are lame ducks. They
Right.
don't care. And obviously the one who covered is going to do the same thing for her next term. She should have never been elected, in my opinion. But the reality is that she should go to these the newbies, and the people who have stood up, Kevin Aguirre and Paul Hart, and register her complaint. And she should organize the rest of the parents.
I
The
agree.
parents at Durfee should be organized, and they should be demanding that we know what's going on inside that school.
I agree.
It is our school, and as a matter of fact, we're going to get hammered to pay for it.
This coming year.
That's right. So,
right around the corner.
we're footing the bill. It's our school, not your school. Contrary to Weingarten's, remarks that, you keep your nose out of how we educate your children. We're not going to keep our nose out of how you educate or protect our children.
As long as you're using my money, I have
Yeah.
a right to know
Yeah.
that the students in that school are safe and are being properly educated.
Exactly. And
if I can't believe that and a parent can't believe that, then there's something needs to be done with the school department administration and the elected officials, because that is not fair to our children. We are one of the worst school systems in educational performance. One of the worst, if not the worst. And you expect children to learn in an environment where they have to fear for their life? Where they have to worry about making a comment or turning around or looking the wrong way at somebody or wearing the wrong shirt or the wrong hat? No, that's not the way it needs to be.
No, you're 100% right, because I'm just not baffled by telling her. Now, to me, there's only 2 scenarios that they would have sent her home and evacuated her, or whatever euphemism they want to use. It's either because they're actually making an attempt to identify this individual, which I hope they are, but that should have been articulated to the parent,
Right.
or they're covering it up.
Why do I tend to fear for the latter?
Well, yeah, I think I'm leaning to it, but now that it's gone public a little bit, I think you might see some movement, and that's the sad part about these things, that all of these things are addressed after they
Right.
are exposed by someone other than someone in the school department.
Correct.
The leaky roof, the graffiti in the bathroom, assaults, locked doors, which I still don't believe have been addressed.
No, they haven't.
You haven't gotten any word back from the superintendent,
No.
have you? And
Nope.
that email was sent a while ago.
Oh, almost a month ago.
And so, we are kept in the dark.
As
And I
usual.
guess the attitude is the Loudoun County. Shut up. We don't want to hear you. You're only the parents. You're only the taxpayers. You're only the people that we were elected to represent. Shut up and go away, because we're running the show.
Right.
Well,
Okay.
that's why Virginia flipped. That's why throughout the country, defund the police got flipped. People are getting sick and tired of it. So parents of Durfee students, you are justified in being enraged, and venting your frustrations about
And I
these
would
things.
suggest that you be sick of being sick and tired.
That's right.
Because it's just, unless you advocate for your own child, nobody else is going to do it, as is obviously going on right now. So, Paul, if you're watching, and we believe you are, please do something for this situation and address it. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's get into some other issues. We've got some papers there, and we know about these rumors flying around the city about all kinds of things, opera money and lawsuits and everything else.
Yep. Well, as you remember, Jason Correa had a lovely project that he wanted to do in the city of Fall River. He wanted to do streetscapes. Now, that was a while back, and we addressed it several times, and we didn't believe in it at all.
Yeah, we were vehemently opposed.
Vehemently against to it, right? Vehemently against it. Now, here's the thing. We're now going to cost us another $600,000. That's what the settlement is for, on a $1.1 million lawsuit or arbitration. They, the contractor, I.W. Harding, which the city initially did not want because they have a bad reputation with Taunton and other cities and towns, but they were the low bidder. And what happened was they filed a complaint with the Attorney General. The Attorney General, in turn, ruled that the city has to hire him because he was the low bidder. And it's a violation of, I guess, 30B or something. And so he did that. Well, what ended up happening was he filed change orders, which I love this. I love change orders because they get filed and they all get signed off on. And what ends up happening? The low bid is now the high bid or higher.
Yeah, cost overruns.
Right.
Yeah.
And it happens all the time. We saw it at the old Durfee. Luckily, we didn't see much of it at the new Durfee. All we saw at the new Durfee was re-roofing. And they still don't have that right. But if the settlement is approved by the city council, which tomorrow, it will mean that the price tag for the Purchase Street Improvement Project, just Purchase Street now, will increase to approximately $3.5 million. $3.5 million from the original bid of $2.5 million. That's $1 million for Purchase Street to benefit who?
Of course.
To benefit who? To benefit his wife's family's restaurant.
And also David Hebert's facade on
And
his
David
building
Hebert's
and
property.
his properties,
Right.
which are on Purchase Street.
Right. So
You know, political allies.
all the political allies
and friends.
and the sidewalks were done and the streets were done and all new utilities were laid out. And then here was the kicker. Now you and I both know where that building's located.
Of course.
It's located on a granite ledge. We know
Yes,
that.
yes.
Hence where the term granite block came from.
Yeah, the Granite Block Spa where virtually half of Durfee had breakfast in the old Durfee before they went to school. Because obviously I went during that era when Durfee was on Rock Street. And everybody from the north end and from the central part and south end went to the Granite Block Spa. And people in the Flint normally went to places up to the Flint. But the granite, that's why they call it the Granite Block. Like, what a surprise. We have actually granite ledge in Fall River. This must have came as a revelation to these people. But again, didn't do their homework. And what do we see? The old inbred Jed Network. And who did we hire to litigate this? Not our illustrious law department, who apparently does nothing but go out for drinks and dinner. And then they just farm out all the work and go down and pretend that they actually do something. And who did they find? We find another, wait a minute, a blast from the past, a familiar name is coming. And who was that attorney?
Steve Torres, Attorney Steve
Who
Torres.
was?
Corporate counsel under Will Flanagan.
And who Will Flanagan worked with in the city of where?
Taunton.
Before they all came to Fall River.
Yes.
Isn't it amazing how political ticks, they live forever? We saw in the water department, we saw Terry Sullivan retire, and where is he working again now?
As the water department.
Still catching a paycheck. Where did, we see Joan Menard retiring from Boston and getting a job with the state again. These people not only get their pensions, they get financed by your tax dollars for the rest of their natural lives. But of course, nobody's going to complain about what does our law department really do, except farm everything out. Now, where are the contract writers? Where are the people that write these contracts that say if you screw something up, there are going to be penalties? No,
There are none.
don't worry. No matter how bad you screw up, you sue us and you make up stories about there's a granite ledge. You didn't know that?
Right.
There
Well,
was no study of that property before you began to do this construction?
Well-
When we're living in a city that, and you're working in an area that used to be called the Granite Block?
Yep. Well, the contractor Harding alleges that one major issue that they encountered was extraordinarily hard ledge. Extraordinarily hard ledge. I don't know what that means, but
I've never seen a soft ledge.
neither have I. And that's at the proposed site, which included Bedford, Rock, and Granite Streets. Oh, wait a minute. It's Granite Street.
Granite Street. Oh, what an inventive name. I wonder where they got that from.
Right. And once again, Harding was the lowest of four bidders when the city issued the request for proposals. The Purchase Street project in 2017, the city did not want to hire the company, which we've already gone over. This project caused a rift, and we remember how much of a rift this caused in the city.
Yeah.
And now the city council has to approve a settlement.
So let's look at this now. They're going to want us to prove a nearly $600,000 settlement to add on to the fact that now the rumors are flying that they have gotten confirmation that they can't use the opera money the way they wanted to use it. So fundamentally, what they always do to you, the taxpayer, we know Paul Coogan promised the budget was okay because of the opera money, so he either was misinformed or didn't do his homework, or he intentionally misrepresented the position for his own political gain while he was campaigning.
Right.
But what he basically did was he was playing Russian roulette with the taxpayers' money and with the taxpayer. And guess what? The taxpayer took the bullet again.
Don't we always?
When are we going to stop allowing city council, wake up, this new council in January? We have the choice of having another 2 years of a reign of terror on the taxpayer, because let's look at what we're looking at here. Debt override for Durfee. Debt override for Diamond. Malone lawsuits outstanding. Other lawsuits, police department, fire department, all throughout the city. I'm calling right now on the show for some counselor to demand from the city every outstanding lawsuit to be reduced to writing so the council can look at everything that we've got out there that could cost the taxpayer money.
It'd be nice to know.
This suit we know is going to cost nearly $600,000. And let's define the holes in the opera money in the budget. So we need to know how badly this city, if it continues on a path, we may be in receivership before the end of our mayor's second term.
Wouldn't that be a great feather in Paul's cap to be the mayor who took Fall River into receivership?
But listen, look, this whole thing has been nothing more than as I said, it's
been political grandstanding.
It's a crap game. It was Russian roulette with the taxpayers' money, and they don't care because you know what they're going to say? You can't afford your taxes,
Well,
lose your house.
Right, and
you can't afford, and now you're looking at increased heating bills, inflation that's murdering everybody. And now you're looking at people on fixed income being murdered by inflation. And now our boy, Let's Go Brandon, is saying we're going to give you an increase in your Social Security, but we're going to increase your Medicare by 14.5%. So you got a net loss of about 7%.
9%.
Yes, 9% or something like
yeah.
that. So I mean, you look at what you're doing. We have a very high percentage of homeowners who are elderly and on fixed income and limited income. What are they going to do? What are they going to do now? I mean, they're going to say tough luck. So now it's up to the council. Somebody's got to step up and stop the spending. We can't unspend the money.
Correct.
But we can stop these lawsuits by saying if you're responsible for, you better write good contracts. You better make sure that you police your department so they're no law. You can't eliminate them completely, but you can really change the way we're doing business. Let's do business for the taxpayer, not with a total disregard, because I'm going to tell you something. After this winter, we're going to see a lot of people that are going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. And, you know, those contracts you talk about, I've never been employed where I got a contract where when I did something wrong, I had a golden parachute.
Yep.
Do something wrong, you get terminated, you don't get a golden parachute. In Fall River, you do something wrong, we terminate you, you got a golden parachute.
If you get terminated.
Right.
Remember, that's a giant if, because most of the time, what do? You get shoved over to another department.
Keep your head down.
Keep your head
mouth
down.
shut. And
Speaking of getting shoved over to another department, we have a rumor that we're losing another one.
That's right.
To the
infamous school department.
You know what we can call them? The school department now. The Hermit Kingdom 2.
There you go.
They're like North Korea. You go there, you disappear.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what goes on in North Korea or the Fall River School Department.
Yep.
The Hermit Kingdom.
Yeah, so that would be another employee, which we're waiting for confirmation that employee is definitely leaving and going over to the school department. You know who you
With
are.
a pay raise.
With a pay raise.
With a pay raise, by the way.
Always. I don't understand why Ken Pacheco would do that to bring somebody else into the department. Or maybe it wasn't Ken, maybe it was Paul.
But he's a friend of his from his old department.
And maybe the reason why this person's being moved over to the school department is because somebody has a friend who needs a job.
Exactly. A department head job.
A department head job. So, you know, that would be another interesting scenario, to say the least. But it's...
Well, I mean, listen, what we know right now is we are facing a bleak winter. A winter where people are going to be struggling, and in this city, you know, this is not Newton. You know, we can get the Newtonians walking in the parades, but then they go back to Newton with their giant salaries. And, you know, we do a little research. We find out that these people, they have an identity issue. They can't identify with people in Fall River. We're kind of like pets. They come down to see during elections because they don't understand our lifestyle. The individual that was marching in the parade, one parent is a surgeon and the other parent is a college professor or something like that. Born and brought up in Newton, Harvard educated, plenty of money. And, you know, I'm not faulting it for that. You know, good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him. But, you know, the fact that Teddy Kennedy and people like this cannot identify with us, if that escapes you, you're not paying attention.
No, exactly.
Because if I drove a car off the end of a pier and then went to the police the next day to report somebody and killed somebody, I would not be walking around, let alone serving in the Senate for another 20 years.
There you go. There you go. That's for sure. Real quick, because we don't have a lot of time left, many retirees said they received a letter had city letterhead on both sides of the letter. That wasn't generated by the city, correct?
That was not generated by and we will cover this a little bit on Wednesday, really, because we have a retirees meeting on Thursday, but that was not generated by Human Resources, because I talked to the director, and she said she had absolutely no idea about that letter till I sent her a copy. So it's, you know, disregard the letter. There will be corrections, and they're really screwing this up.
Yeah, and their package should be coming out shortly after.
Yep, very shortly.
Sometime in December, so they know what's happening. So it'll be interesting to see. We just want to keep you informed so you don't get too confused over what's happening, because this transition is very difficult for people at this point in time.
Yeah, let's circle back quickly to what you opened the show with. We cannot allow and condone assaults in schools.
No, definitely not, because you know it starts on the students, and then when it is going to end, when it starts affecting the teachers, it needs to stop soon. Well, everyone, thank you for watching. It's always a pleasure to be in your home with you. Remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.